I'll buy a pack.
Being called.
I know. I'm just sorry.
I wonder if they have J here.
They should have J packs.
Sorry, just closed it.
Absolutely. You guys ever seen Ferris Bueller's?
Okay. Last year.
Great. And I'm
No, that's a demo.
disappointed in you, Jonathan. You're not cool.
That's okay. I know I'm not cool enough.
Actually, last turn.
Hey.
Hello.
Do you have your decks here? Or cards here?
I don't have my cards, but I was just given a whole bunch of packs from Cody.
Nice.
So I don't know if 4 packs.
Do we
I don't
have
think so.
what deck
How the
are
heck
you
did you
using?
collect 4 packs?
Cody gave them to me.
God damn it, Cody.
What decks were you using to do the demos with?
These.
These? Okay. Then we'll use these.
Okay, thank you.
I used my rabbit deck once, but it lost.
All right. So, in the game, you got 8 different characters.
As I tell Wally, you're old enough to know what's appropriate.
For this demo, we're going to focus on just playing with these 2 characters because they're a little bit easier to just grasp the mechanics with right away. But every character has 3 core stats at the top. The red banner is your starting health. You can exceed that, when you get damage, you go lower than that. But if you have anything that gives you health, you can go above that number. The second is your aura. Aura works like a currency. You start the game off with all of it, and as you spend it on abilities, it just gets spent. Unless you have a way to recoup it, otherwise you don't get any more. Your second core resource is actually going to be your deck itself. So, aura is used for magical abilities like casting spells, bring out creatures, things like that. Energy is used for physical abilities like punching or jumping, stuff like that. When you spend energy, you take cards from the top of your deck and you discard them. Energy costs, here's a card that actually has both costs. So, Air Shield costs 5 aura and 2 energy. So this will come out of the currency. 2 energy will come from 2 cards off the top of your deck. Fighters have an ability or a tolerance towards energy costs, and that's the numbers in the green banner. So if you see 0, you got to pay the full cost of 2 cards off the top of your deck. 1 means you're reducing this number by 1, so you're only paying 1. In this case, she reduces it by 2, so she wouldn't pay any cards off the top of her deck. Okay. On top of that, every character has this awareness grid. So we're playing on this 5x6 grid. Everything you play is bounded by distance and direction. The white arrow is the square you're currently on and the direction you're facing, and the red dot's your awareness. And this ties down to your 2 abilities down here. Every ability is written the same way. So in the black box are the speed of that ability. The center is the name of the ability. The white box is the cost of that ability. And then underneath it is the reminder text of how the ability works. Every attack ability is going to work the same way. Basic attack 2 means you do 2 basic damage. Heavy attack 4 means you're doing 4 heavy damage. Dark attack 3 means you're doing 3 dark damage. Okay? And then you have the secondary abilities for each character underneath. Swift, our faster abilities, can be done during your turn, my turn, or response to anything. Action abilities are slower, can only be played during your main phase. And then you have cards that cost exert. So every character will get their own turn. When they're done their turn, they become exerted, and they get an exert token put on them. If an ability costs exert, then you're ending your turn to use that ability. Right? If you're exerted, you can't use abilities that cost exert. Otherwise, I think that's most of the core function of the characters. So like I said, for this demo, we're going to just focus on these 2 characters.
Okay.
And afterwards, you can find whichever character you want to play with that suits you a little bit more. So you have Malik, who's a barbarian, really aggressive, in-your-face type of playstyle. Raha, who's an archer, a little bit more tactical, strategical in playstyle. Which one sings to you a little bit more? Raha? Perfect.
Yeah, we just finished
So,
our Warhammer, but
when it comes to building your deck, you're going to make a 50-card deck, no more, no less. Every card has to bind to your character's affiliations. So Raha is yellow, which is Bellum. So in this deck, you'll have 25 Bellum cards. And then you also have the blue cards, which are Axon cards. 25 of each, that's a 50-card deck. Every card has a point value. The total value of your deck has to be 250 points. So each one of these piles is 125. That's your deck. And let me get my own.
So I presume I just start shuffling it up.
We'll go through that in a second. The next is your aura. So you're starting off with 95 aura. So we're going to start you off with 5, 10. Yeah, I know. 10. So that's 10, 20, 25, 35, 45, 55, 75, 95. It's 95 aura for you. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 80.
I'm packing up to leave, yeah.
Genesis or Destiny.
We'll borrow some of these dice. You're starting off with 22 health. So 20 plus 2, we're going to just put you at 2 for now.
Okay.
And then I start off with 30 health. So I have 10 and then another 20 on top of that. When you're starting the game, the characters always start in the back middle spot. You have your aura, you have your health all set up. And then we start the game by determining who will go first. Since this is your first game, I'll be the starting champion, but normally you roll dice. You shuffle your deck and then draw 5 cards.
Okay. Yeah, I'm already.
So, before we jump into the game, most of the cards you'll know how to play. You play Magic, I assume?
Yeah.
So, you'll be able to figure out how most cards work. The only thing to keep in mind is creatures. This is the biggest difference. Is every creature will have a beckon ability, and that's how you get them from your hand onto the board. You pay the cost, and then you place the creature on a spot adjacent to you. So adjacent are either of your sides, in front of you, or behind you. They come out facing the same direction as you. So if you're facing that way, they come out facing that way, and then they come out exerted, like Summoning Sickness. Otherwise, they become their own separate entity from you. They cannot play cards from your hand. They cannot use your resources at all. They have their own health, their own attack, and then they'll also have their own turn, and that's independent from your turn. All right.
Okay.
And then when you go to play cards, so you have spells and techniques. These are like instants and sorceries from Magic. These are one-time abilities. Once you play them, they're done with. Creatures and alterations. So summons, that's that symbol. Alteration symbols, these are like permanents. You'll know that they come onto board and stay on the board because they have a health banner. Every creature has a beckon ability, and then alterations will have like a create or build ability telling you how to put them onto the board. Once you get a card, just read it. It'll tell you what it does. But yeah, shuffle, draw 5 cards.
All right.
And then... Okay. Alright. Then we have this little card here, which is a little cheat sheet of how the game works. So the game's played with a series of rounds and turns. Each character gets their own turn where they go through 3 phases of move, main, and end. The rounds are communal. A player's turn ends once they become exerted. The round ends once everyone's exerted. The round starts by taking off all exert tokens and drawing a card. That includes our first round. So we have no exert tokens to take off, but we still get a draw card. So we have 6 cards. Interesting. Then we go into the turns. I'm the starting champion. I always get the first turn of every single round. The turns have 3 phases: move, main, and end. Move is your opportunity to navigate through the board. Main, you can play as many abilities as you want, either action speed or swift speed, as long as you have the resources and targets for them all. And then you have your end phase. During your end phase, you can only play abilities that are swift speed, so that's a swift there. You can play as many of them as you want, and at the end of your end phase, if you're not exerted yet, you become exerted. Right?
Okay.
So, starting with the move phase, you can do nothing and go straight into your main phase, or you can advance. Advancing is moving to one of the 4 adjacent squares and rotating. You can advance without rotating, you can advance without moving, and you don't have to go in the direction you face. Okay? So, I'm going to advance 1 square forward.
Oh, there's the paper.
After you advance, you can choose to advance a second time. If you do, you skip your main phase and go straight to your end phase. So, kind of like an RPG, if you go to dash or stuff like that, you can't do any of the slower stuff, right? So, I'm going to go into my main phase and bring out a few creatures. So, I'm going to bring out an Earth Elemental. The beckon ability for that costs 13 aura. So, I'm taking 10 and 3, and then setting those aside. And then that comes out exerted. And then I'm going to bring out a second Earth Elemental. So, it's another 10 plus 3. And then that gets set aside. And now I go to my end phase. There's nothing I want to do during my end phase, so then I end my turn by just exerting myself. and that
Okay.
goes over to your turn.
Where did all my
Alright.
D20s go? Oh,
I'm using 2 of them,
okay.
So,
and then there's another one right here.
No, that's fine. It's just,
so I can advance, move up 1, and then I can, can summon an air elemental that cost 5.
So the cost is in the white
yes.
box.
Okay.
Yeah.
that
It's a little bit
one,
different than Magic, but if you ever play
1, 2.
Pokemon, it's kind of like the Pokemon format for cards.
13. Just, star pile
Yep.
there. Then it's okay, and he's exerted. I'll exert and
Right.
end.
Perfect. So now everyone's exerted. That's the end of the round. So we start the next round. Yep.
Draw a card.
Yep. You got this. All right. Now this is where things get a little bit different. There's 2 key things to note here. One is a turn order. My team has 3 turns. Your team has 2 turns. I will pick one character and go through their entire turn until they become exerted. Then it goes over to your team to pick one character.
Oh,
So I get turn 1, you get turn 2. I get 3, you get 4, and then I get 5. You can pick whatever order you want. So you can start with your champion, or you can start with your creature, whichever one you want to do. And then, yeah, so that's how the turn order goes. The second thing is that the game favors the defender. So what I mean by that is if my Earth Elemental was to go advance twice, go to its end phase and use the Swift Earth attack ability. Since your creature has a Swift attack ability, you could respond with your attack ability. Since yours is the responding ability, yours will actually deal damage, killing the Earth Elemental before it does any damage at all.
okay.
So usually you don't want to charge up against someone if they're not exerted, right? But if your character was exerted and I came and did the same thing, you couldn't respond with that ability, so I could deal my attack without any risk, right? The other thing I could do, assume I started the round here instead. I could come and attack from the side, and now since I'm outside of its awareness, it wouldn't be able to attack me back.
Okay.
So that's where direction matters a lot, because most things cannot defend their sides or behind them. So you want to be able to do all your attacks from the side. The other thing is, if I came and attacked here, and to attack the air elemental, Raha could respond because I'm inside Raha's awareness. So it's not just the 2 people who are engaged in combat; anyone can respond to anything. All right.
Cody's not here because
Then
he already has like 4
so
decks.
I get the first turn. I'm gonna start by
already
going
knows how to
1,
play.
2,
Oh, this
and
is just for-
exert here,
This is demo day.
and then it goes over to you.
Okay. I will.
Good. How are you?
Activate.
Okay.
Move
Air elemental.
1
Mm-hmm.
and exert there.
Right. So since it's there, it's now exposed for my Earth Elemental to come up and attack it, and it wouldn't be able to attack back. So this is within the danger zone, right?
Okay.
So moving it here, it leaves it kind of defenseless.
Okay.
You probably would want to either move it here, because if it's there, no matter how my Earth Elemental moves, it wouldn't be able to get to the Air Elemental. So do you want to try doing that differently?
Yeah.
Let's insert there. And then my Earth Elemental's going to go here to pair against that. Now it goes over to Raha's turn.
Raha.
That was it's not exactly that was
Hey, Jonathan.
that was actually what present
Raha will move.
Jonathan.
Yeah.
Merry early Christmas.
and like they'll just drop so many dishes and like I remember one time I stayed over.
Are you crazy? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are you crazy? Thank you.
I don't
for
know what
reference,
to
the reason
say.
the game paused is because someone just got a Christmas gift early.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Sorry about the game.
Yeah. I don't know what to say. Thank
Now you
you.
have no excuse to not play with him.
Yeah. All right. Yes, the game. I'm gonna move.
That's
So. Right. No. That's how that. Okay. No.
someone
that
else.
answers that question.
Whose is this? That might be Brad's. It's probably Brad's.
That one's mine.
Unless it's yours. Brad, did you leave your demo
Yeah, that
day
one's
box
mine.
over here? Oh, it's his? Okay, never mind.
So.
Did you get one of these?
Yes. It is.
Okay, good. It was like I was packing stuff away and I wasn't sure if I was packing my stuff. And I almost packed away the someone else's demo box.
Target.
That would have been.
So I'm going to. Still trying to get there. Okay. If I move,
Yeah,
I can
basically.
move 1, 2, right there.
Okay. Yep. So now that you
Yeah,
move
Genesis
twice,
starts
you
at
can
6,
only
so
place
people might
Swift.
come in
Yes. So I'll
around that
cast
time.
Gust.
Okay.
Right now it's just start demoing.
1, 2.
So I don't have any response to that. So now I'll take 2 damage,
2 air
going down to
damage.
28.
And Gust awareness.
And now Gus has a trigger which pushes, so that pushes me 1 square back.
Yeah. And she gets
Nope,
zero.
you're not done yet. You can keep on playing Swift abilities.
Oh yes. Then okay, we'll spend 2 for guided arrow.
So this is the physical abilities that
Oh,
I'm talking
yes.
about. So instead of paying 2 aura, you're
It's-
now paying 2 minus 1 cards from the top of your deck.
So just the
1
one?
card. Yep.
And then I cast
And then
the,
that does 1 damage to me, taking me down to 27.
and then I'll just turn that discard. Do another.
All right, perfect. Taking me down to 26.
And then I don't think I shuffled it very well because I have a third.
Going down to 25.
Using a sleeved deck against someone.
Oh yeah.
This around. That's really cool.
Why do you want to go right now?
Played your rain deck just to
Okay. So
really
that's
drive
what
home
that
how
works.
landscape can go.
And then I will
I'm not sure your name, but he's being
One.
bullied by Brad.
drill 1 for air shield.
Okay.
Just gonna sit that on so that we
So
remember
the cool
kind of
thing like about Air Shield is since it's Swift, you could also do it in response to being attacked.
Okay.
That's okay. I mean, it's part of the learning experience, right? There's all those little like tricks to the cards.
And then that.
Well,
Now she's
now since I'm still within your range, you can
I
end your
can-
turn by doing your shooting your arrow.
Okay. And then I will range attack for 2.
All right. So and that costs exert.
Exert, and then
So that ends your
get
turn,
exerted.
and then that takes me down to 23. Make sense so far? Everything's good.
Yeah.
All right. Perfect. So I'm gonna come forward 1. I'm going to play this card called Inferno Pit. So I can create this card on any spot on the board where there isn't a champion summon. I'm actually going to create it right behind you. It costs 12 aura, and now if anyone moves onto that spot, they take 2 fire damage.
Okay.
Right. And now, so since I've only moved once, I'm still on my main phase. I have this ability, Heavy Attack 4. It's action speed. It costs Exert and 2 health. And it deals 4 damage to you.
Okay.
But since you have the air shield, you only take 3.
So 2 and then 19. So place that there.
Perfect. So air shield's now done with. Everyone's exerted. That's the end of the round.
All right. And then
Take off all these
switch
counters
this on.
and draw a card. And the last 2 things to note are just some terminology differences. One is moving versus placing. So champions and summons cannot move onto a spot that's occupied. So Raha cannot move onto this spot because Malik occupies the spot. She can move onto Inferno Pits because alterations do not occupy the spot, and she can move to the side.
Okay.
But if you had an ability that says place a character onto a spot, so actually we saw one earlier, which is okay. This is both a good and bad example. Then, but Blink Shard says place a target in Blink Shard's awareness onto any unoccupied spot. So since this is place, you would normally be able to place this creature onto a spot that's occupied, but it says unoccupied. It's like a great and bad example at the same time. There isn't one here. Let me find one.
Then you take 2 damage.
So. Okay, this is a similar card, just it doesn't have that unoccupied spot. So if you're playing Temporal Relocation, you place a target in Temporal Relocation's awareness on any spot facing any direction. So if we were like this, you could take me and place me on top of Air Elemental. Right? The other place where this is relevant is also with creatures. So every beckon ability says place the creature. So if you're being surrounded by creatures, you can still bring out new ones by placing them on top of other ones.
Okay.
And when you're on the same spot as another character, it's kind of like a weird blind zone. You can't see them if you're in the same spot. So you can't attack people who's on the same spot. But it just means that even if you're surrounded, you can still play things.
Okay.
So that's move versus place. The other one is the keyword adjacent versus around. So some abilities say adjacent, like the Beckon ability does, and that's the 4 orthogonal squares. If you see an ability that says around, it's any of the 8 squares around.
Okay.
All right? And
Spending too
that's
much.
about that. So
That's what
I
happens
get
when
to
you get
start.
cocky.
I'm going to come in with this Earth Elemental. So it's going to advance once here, and then use my Earth attack to deal 3 damage to you.
Okay. So 16.
Yep. It goes over to you.
Okay.
You want to see what I get since you gave me them?
I'll open one.
So
I
I
don't know
will
what the rarity of any of them are. So.
I will tell you if it's a good one.
10
or not.
and 5. 1, 2,
Ooh,
3,
Skull Throne. That's a really
4,
good one.
5 because it gets minus.
Judgment.
So
Nice use.
move
Flame Blink Shard.
Malak.
So now I get to respond to Blink Shard.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to
This pack
respond
is a
to
great
it
pack. You
with.
got me, like,
I don't know how many
best
tokens,
packs I've
but
ever
this is
gotten.
going to represent Malik's attack. So I'm going to play my basic attack,
It's a storm.
which exerts me,
Yeah.
and it's going to deal 2 damage to you.
Okay.
Now you can respond
Yeah,
to that if
that's
there's
a
something
good
you want
one,
to do.
actually.
So could I respond to
I don't know what's in
your
there and what's
response
rare
by
enough.
attacking you?
let's
Yeah,
see.
yeah,
Okay, so then
rare.
I will attack with my
This
range
is uncommon.
which
Ooh, a
exerts you.
vampire one.
and does 2
Protect
damage.
it.
Yeah.
Fine.
So
Actually,
what will
needed that
happen
one.
is this is what we call a stack. It's the same thing in Magic.
Skeleton
These are the
Warriors
3
are nice.
abilities that are being played. We play them going from the top to the bottom. So the first
Okay.
one that resolves is Raha's attack, which will take me down
Gourd
to
Chopper
19.
Blue, That's actually
Right?
nice.
Then my attack goes through, which will take you down to
This
14.
pack is amazing though.
And then your
Usually
Blink Shards
you get,
happens.
Like,
Okay.
either a Blessing or a Champion.
And where do you want to
Two
move me?
blessings in
You can move me to
Okay,
any
okay.
spot that's not
Really
occupied.
good.
Yeah, I got
I will.
quadruple the amount you usually get. So yeah, this was a really
Including
good
that Inferno Pits. If
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
For
making
for
a
fair
destruction deck
for
right
just
now.
for my own knowledge.
So that's really good.
For in this
Ooh,
instance,
War
putting you
Ragnarok,
behind me isn't really the best
That's
idea
huge.
per se
That's
because
actually really good
you
'cause
kind
I have a ton
of
of
well we're
beasts
both
in there.
exerted though.
Yeah, I'm already
So
exerted.
Do extra
yeah,
stuff.
because then
That's good. That
place you
helps.
there, dealing
Nice.
2 fire damage.
Now take me down to 17.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now it
kind
goes
of.
over to my team.
It's a card game based
So
off of
I'm
this,
going to
'cause
have
the
Earth
people
Elemental
who made
go here and attack you for 3.
Seekers were like, hey Warhammer, you want us to make this for you?
And then it's your
I was
Air
like,
Elemental's turn.
"Yeah."
Okay. Air elemental's
So,
gonna move,
I'm
so I can
gonna do
move.
that.
I can only move 1.
No, so you can
All
actually
of
move
these
twice. You get
are
2
the
advances.
Oh yes.
So you can move 2 advances and then use your Swift. So you can still
Okay.
move twice and
I'm
attack.
giving that on Christmas.
Oh, you.
I will move there,
know
there,
Well, you-
and used my air attack
I
to.
just got
should've
Which
waited.
kills off the Earth
I
Elemental.
know, but I had it, and once I had it, I
Alright.
thought I would be able to.
And that's the end of round.
And I
Around,
was
so
like, oh.
exerts.
I'm like that too. No worries.
And draw a card.
My mom was.
I'm the secret person that opens the gift and then rewraps it like perfectly.
Wow.
So I'm going. So
I see that. and I'm
Inferno
always
Pits
pissed
only
when I
does stuff when you
guess.
move on to it. So since I'm already on it, I'm just going to rotate. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to play this Earth Elemental behind me. That costs 13. So that's 10. That's 15. And I'm going to take 2 back.
My friends started hiding it in the attic because there's like no way.
And then I'm going to use my heavy attack, which costs 2 health. And I'm going to do 4 damage to that air elemental. Now it goes over to your turn.
Okay. I will. So you can only rotate once, correct?
So if you can rotate twice, but if you do, you skip your main
We
phase.
don't.
Okay.
Usually we don't have many of them down.
We'll do. We'll rotate.
Mhm.
We'll cast Gust.
Yeah.
Okay. So in response to Gus, my Earth Elemental is going to attack.
Yep.
So
So
I don't want to interrupt.
that's the Earth Elemental's attack onto the stack.
It's a pretty good.
And is there anything you want to add to the stack?
Um.
Nope. Okay, so that hits you for 3.
I actually have to get ready.
So.
I've gotten tons of good stuff
10.
from these Warhammer champions recently.
And then this goes back and goes down to 1 health. And now it's still your turn.
Okay. I will use my
It's working.
swift ability for
People into just
the knock.
Kill this?
Yep.
Okay.
just sit
And that exerts.
That's the starter deck.
Alex says,
Alright. And that's the end of the round.
Yep.
How much is 5?
Let's go to the next round.
Okay.
Removing all the counters, drawing card.
except for they're all huge.
Alright.
Huge model.
I'm gonna go this way, and I'll use my heavy attack, paying 2 health,
The other
and
guy-
hitting you for 4.
Okay. 4.
Oh.
It's your go.
I will
He's in this.
rotate.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
I will spend.
He's the big beast.
The army I was looking at was like 18 guys, but it's probably like this big.
Just I'm gonna put 23 in, take 10 out
No, not
Okay.
that army. I was looking at one over here.
for the water elemental.
Alright, perfect.
Who is exerted. And I'll spend 12, 6, 7, 8 for Gust again on Moloch.
Alright. So I have no response to that, so I'm taking 2 and being blown off of the Inferno Pits.
Okay. And then I'll use my Swift attack to do another 2.
Taking me down to 9.
Exerting.
Then I'm gonna come here and do my Earth attack to hit you for 3.
Last. Why not?
Okay. Next round,
Exert. Okay.
draw a card.
Yep.
Alright, and I'm just gonna end this off by having my Earth Elemental attack for 3. Do you have a response to that?
Nope.
Nope. And that's game.
Good game. That's a lot of fun.
Did it make sense?
Yeah.
All the way down?
At the beginning, it was like,
Yeah.
What?
There's a lot at the beginning, but I think after a few rounds it starts making a lot more sense.
yeah.
There's little nuances that you'll pick up as you play more. Things like Gust. Gust was a great card because if, just say we're like this, and I decide to come up and play my heavy attack. So I play my heavy attack. In response to it, you play Gust. And then Gust results first, which will hit me for 2 and push me away, right? And then I go to do my heavy attack, but since now you're too far away from me, it does nothing. So it can be played defensively instead of offensively.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you want to take the deck?
Yes, please.
It's yours.
Thank you very much.
Actually, what were you doing with all the other decks? What were you doing with all the other decks?
I was giving them back to you.
Oh, I mean like the open ones. Have all the open ones been distributed out?
I didn't know there was open ones.
Oh, okay. Do you want the other
Put
deck?
them back in.
Sure. Thank you.
Here. And you have all the characters
I
as
guess there
well.
are
Thank
open
you
ones
very
in
much.
here.
Well, at least now I can get my brother into it because
Perfect.
he wanted to play yet again Magic, but
Yeah.
I have to say I prefer this much more than Magic.
That's what we want to hear, especially on live.